I'm Chris Shandak. Today on CYInterview, we're going to talk about a very important topic about helping today's homeless youth get off the streets. With us today, first off, is Jeffrey Witkoff. He is the founder of Doors to Change. Jeffrey Sitcov, thank you so much for joining us today on CYInterview. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Chris. Really appreciate it.
And also with us today is someone who is helping Jeffrey get these youth off the streets in California and beyond. Anson Williams of Happy Days fame. Anson, thanks so much for being back with us on CYInterview. How are you, sir? It's always so nice to see you and hear from you.
It's good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a few years, right?
Yeah, it's been about 6 or 7 years at least, but yeah.
Oh boy.
And also joining us is the founder of Epic Financial Strategies LLC and CYInterview sponsor, Rob Gill. Rob, thanks so much as always for being here today.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much. I'm not sure if my screen is frozen on my side, but I'm happy to be here, brother.
We can see perfectly fine.
Super grateful and looking forward to sharing a beautiful conversation with these fine folks.
You are moving. We can see your lips. Everything is perfectly fine in real time. So just to begin, Jeffrey, I just want to start at the top. What inspired you to help today's homeless youth get off the street? How did Doors to Change come to fruition?
I happen to be a physical therapist by profession. I had a successful practice. I practiced for 18 years. I had 17 employees. And all of a sudden, one day, I had a spinal cord injury, a freak accident that a patient helped me have a spinal cord injury. And I literally had to stop my profession that day and did a lot of soul searching and decided I want to help kids because kids are the future. And I kept seeing the energy of kids is getting worse and worse. You know, being a healer for many, many years, I just sensed the energy was getting worse and worse. And I spent a year interviewing nonprofits that empowered youth to make better choices. Went on an outreach one night, had no idea about the homeless situation, but that one night on outreach to find homeless kids literally changed my life. I've been doing it for almost 22 years now.
So just very quickly, how many people have you gone off the streets in those 22 years?
Well, we've helped over 15,000 youth get services, but we're most proud that 2,700 of them we've gotten off the streets into safe housing.
Anson, you recently ran for public service for mayor in a town in California. You're always trying to help out people. What wanted you and what motivated you to get involved with this organization?
Well, the results. I mean, one reason I ran for mayor was because of the school system here in the Ojai area. And what Jeffrey's done is just remarkable. I mean, kids from the street to becoming lawyers. And a lot of organizations, they talk a lot and they get, funding and this, and very little's done. Doors to Change, it's just tremendous results. And Gary Marshall, years ago during Happy Days, who was really our mentor, early on, he sat us down and said, you guys are going to be famous and people are going to be looking at you, but there's even better people than you. So take that platform and shine the light on someone else to help others. And we've all done that. We take the celebrity platform and we make sure that we can use it for people that are really doing the hard work, to promote them and to shine the light on what's important. And that's why I'm involved.
So just very quickly before I throw it to Rob, Anson, being a celebrity, being on one of the most popular shows in American TV history, Happy Days, do you think it was Gary Marshall that made you realize that you could use your celebrity for good as well? Or do you think there were other influences, or do you think this is just how you were brought up? What do you think it is exactly?
It's a combination. I mean, my heart's it's always been there for others. But Gary instilled it. And if you notice, Donnie Most and Ron Howard and Henry, myself, Marion, they've contributed so much because of Gary's influence, and making the priority of celebrity to use it for the greater good. And it was embedded in us because that show was on for almost 11 years. So it stayed with us. And I mean, gosh, look what Henry's done for the dyslexic kids, and Ron quietly has funded so many programs that's helped thousands of people. Don Damos too. Is Don's wife has Parkinson's, and they've done so much to help with Michael Fox to help, find help there. So Gary was a big influence in cementing all this together.
Well, I know Rob is going to have a lot of questions for both of you. Rob, works with youth and AAU basketball and beyond. Rob, why don't you tell a little bit about what you're doing with today's youth and questions for either Anson or Jeffrey?
Sure. First of all, Anson and Jeffrey, it's so nice to meet you. Unbelievable global impact, one person at a time, by the way, Jeff. When we hear about, getting kids off the streets and becoming a lawyer, my brain takes me to 100 years later, because it just takes one person to create, a $1 billion industry, right? And the impact that could have for jobs and society and everything else. And we never know who we're going to impact. When Anson, obviously, I grew up, I was born in 1970s, so Happy Days was very much part of my life. So it's really cool to be on here with you right now and to hear some of the message that was given to you at your young age, that you can have an impact, and not understanding maybe at that time what it would look like 10, 20, 30 years later. Me as a guy that owns my own independent financial planning company on the insurance side and the wealth management side, which is something I love because I want to teach people how to go from a scarce money mindset to an abundant money mindset. But recently, about a year ago, I went to the Ukraine, and the contrast changed my perspective about what was really important. And it kind of led me down the path of AAU basketball. I have two sons, 16 and 17-year-olds, so I created two teams. But I also put my business hat into it, not necessarily as a business model. If you looked at what I've done so far, you would say this is the worst money thing you could ever have done, because it was really not about the money. But what happened along the way is I started to see kids that have tremendous talent. And, listen, we know that in basketball, the statistical chance of making it to the NBA is like 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. And even those folks that make it, 80% go bankrupt after they retire, right? That's a real number. So one of the things I know about entrepreneurs, that's what I do, is entrepreneurs are good at rinse and repeat, repetition. And as I talk to these kids, I try and identify when I was their age, when I didn't listen to a word of my parents or any person that had probably really good influence that could give me a good message, because I was so blocked off. But my whole thing for these kids, because social media is so present, is how can they learn how to create their own brand, their own marketing? How can they learn how to become an entrepreneur? Because if you're good in basketball at an elite AAU level, which really means college basketball, different levels, 1, 2, and 3, Division 1, 2, and 3, that means you're good at doing something every day. That means you're good at repetition. You may not be good at science, you may not be good at math, you may not be good at reading, but you're good at something that could produce something, right? So my thought was, how do we create a financial literacy course? Because I started asking a different question that could help impact these kids. So they right now, instead of we look at a rock that drops in the middle of a river, it's a splash, but it's really about the ripple effect of what the message is now. So along the way, we opened up our own NIL collective, which allows you to pay high school and college athletes legally and by the law. But in order for one of the kids to get money from us, they have to go through our financial literacy course. They have to learn how to open up an LLC. They have to learn how to really become an entrepreneur in certain books that we give them to read and the course curriculum we put together. So hearing what you guys are doing, tremendous. And now I understand why Chris put me on this interview. I'm not confused. Thank you, Chris.
Did you have a question directly for Anson, Rob?
Yeah, so I guess my question would be, as you're coming up through the Happy Days time frame, you're filming, but maybe, the lag time of people recognizing who you are and what you're doing. How are you able to survive that success? I'm writing a book called Surviving Success, and it's not only about climbing the mountain, but how do you stay up there and not self-sabotage? How are you able to really be able to survive success and move out of, I'm not saying that you're out of acting career or anything, but to go from where that took you to the next phases of your life?
Well, again, Gary Marshall, and Ron Howard, because, when we started Happy Days, Ron Howard was already a star. And his work ethic and professionalism was beyond. So we kind of followed him. But Gary, early on, sat us down and again said, "You guys, Everyone's going to know your name. He said, don't get in the way of yourself. He said, you probably won't be actors all your life. He said, I wanted to be a teacher at one point. And then he said, then I went into comedy, I went into music, I ended up writing. But he said, let me tell you, please use Paramount Studios as your college. He said, if you guys are going to last in this business, you've got to wear many hats. So stop with the ego. He said, he said, you might want to produce, you might want to direct, you might not want to be actors all your life, especially you, Anson. So basically, it's true. Oh my God. So anyway, he opened up the Paramount lot. So they asked, I went into directing and writing and all that, and people said, well, where did you go to school for directing? I go, well, Paramount lot. Gary Marshall opened it up so I could shadow Roman Polanski doing Chinatown. I could, John Schlesinger, I'm watching Day of the Locust, filming Day of the Locust. I'm asking questions every day. Anytime I had time, I was learning. So I used the experience productively.
Awesome.
Same with Ron Howard, same with Henry Winkler. None of us, it was so funny. We were a hugely popular show at the time. There were only 3 networks. It cracks me up because I'll direct these shows, and it's a huge hit with like less than 3 million, viewers. We had an average of 58 million. Wow. That's besides syndication. You couldn't go. So you want to talk about ego that could have happened. And so, but people would be interested. Oh, what happens? What do you do? Oh my gosh, it must be so great. Well, Gary Marshall put up a basket and we shot hoops. We went out and we shot hoops outside of stage 19, and we talked. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? The other thing Gary did was he let us contribute to the show. He got us involved productively. And so basically from the very beginning, we never got in the way of ourselves. We used it productively. We were grounded. Yeah. In fact, there are so many wonderful things that happen out of Happy Days because of Gary and our purpose. I don't think a lot of people realize that the Heimlich maneuver would have not have been the Heimlich maneuver without Happy Days. And I think very few people know this story. Do you know the story?
I remember the episode.
No, there was no episode.
There was sometimes I thought somebody choked somewhere. Maybe.
No. What happened was I call him my uncle, Dr. Heimlich, because it's Anson William Heimlich. It was changed professionally years ago. But he was my second cousin, but I called him uncle ever since, I was a little kid. And Hank had created the Heimlich maneuver, and he was having a huge problem promoting it because there was conflict with the Red Cross. He exposed some things in the Red Cross politically. They didn't like him, so they refused to accept the Heimlich maneuver, and they tried to downplay it and stop it, and they kept promoting, slapping your back, and he was getting very frustrated. He got a little bit of promotion, but not a lot, and people are dying unnecessarily. He was very frustrated. He happened to be on the Happy Days set, and I didn't have a long day that day, and we were discussing it, and I felt pretty helpless, and I got a call on the set from the Merv Griffin show. I had done the show a couple of times before. Someone had dropped out that night, and they asked if I was available to fill in, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we'll bring Henry on. We'll do the Heimlich maneuver. Very naive. I'm just very naive. But I thought, oh no, this will be it. So I accept. So I get done with my part of the day. Shower up. Hank comes with me. I'm going to sing a song. I get my charts. We go down to the Merv Griffin show. Hey, and I don't know him. He's a very nice guy. He just did the show a couple of times, and I asked the people there, can I see Merv? No, he's busy. Okay, so I rehearsed the song. Fine. Can I see Merv? No, he's busy. Then I interview with the producer as far as what we're going to talk about that night. And I talk about the Heimlich maneuver, and he says, no, it's not vetted. We're just going to talk about fun things on the set, whatever. Well, that was it. So I thought, all right, well, we tried. We tried. So they put Dr. Heimlich into the audience, and they start the show. I wasn't first out. I might have been second out, something like that. So my turn comes, sing the song, and then there's a break. And during that break, they seat you next to Merv. Well, I had about 2 minutes for an elevator pitch. So I start talking about the Heimlich maneuver. And he said, and he goes, what? And he stopped me. He said, I heard about that. Was interesting. I heard he read something somewhere. That's very interesting, Anson. Very interesting. Lights come up. Now, the show's directed by Dick Carson, Johnny Carson's brother. As a side note. So the lights come up, and I'm sitting there ready to get interviewed, and Merv starts and says, Anson told me something very interesting about what's called the Heimlich maneuver. Is there Dr. Heimlich in the audience? Can you stand up, sir? No one knows what's coming on. Interviews Hank in the audience, brings him up on stage, does the maneuver on him. That all of a sudden lives are saved that week.
Amazing story.
Carson calls his brother Johnny Carson and says, "You got to put this guy on your show. You're going to save lives." 3 weeks later, Dr. Heimlich was on Johnny Carson, and it just blew out. If Gary Marshall hadn't created Happy Days, if all these pieces didn't come into place, who knows what would happen?
And Anson
shows you the heart of the show.
If I may say something, and I want to go to Jeff, but what that really creates, we call proximity as power, right? So if we look at the proximity of the elevator pitch into your uncle, cousin, whatever the relationship is, from one person to the next person, the splash into the ripple, it's no different than Dr. Phil with Oprah. Oprah brought Dr. Phil on and his life changed, right? So it was an overnight success, 10, 20 years in the making. I totally get what you're saying. And thank you for sharing that story. That I for some reason, I was thinking an episode, but I missed that whole thing. But it is a tremendous story about what proximity actually looks like, if in fact you're ready to take advantage of it. With that, Jeff, my question for you is, as you began to look at all these homeless kids, which is a very sad, and I think that's what we're talking about here. I'd love to learn more about your foundation privately. To me, is there a mechanism you use in a way to break through to them for their limiting beliefs in your process? And I'm going to just say, from going from hello to yes, or from scarce to abundant, or from having no hope to belief. I'm really interested to hear about that.
It's called building trust. They don't trust anybody. And why would they? They've been taking advantage of every adult that they know. So they're on the streets. You have to build trust with them. Once you build trust with them, they open up and say, please help me. And so you need to build trust first. Once you do that, that's why we've had such success over the years, because we build trust. We're experts in building trust quickly. And then with that, you give them the resources they need. They have to work. You're not going to give them everything. They have to work for it. But as long as they know that you're there to help them, not to hurt them, that's why they want to get more and more resources. And that's why last year, we had a record year. We actually shattered our record of housing homeless kids by over 188 youth. We housed 349 youth last year. Wow. And so it just shows that when they trust you and they go through the things for mental health, for domestic violence, for all the things we refer them for, they want to get off the streets. And thank God, this age group, 17 to 25, is the most important age group of all homeless ages that can break the cycle of homelessness more than anything, because they haven't been on the streets that long. They're not so cemented in the streets, and they're not such mentally ill usually at that time that they can have an ability to get off the streets with hard work.
And in that process, how do you decide, or what is the way to think, okay, we're going to get behind this person versus this person? Is there, you can't save everybody overnight. You can really save one person at a time and then double, just kind of keep going. What about the kids that stay lost? Like, what do you do about that?
Well, number one, we help any kid that wants to get help.
Yeah.
Any kid that wants to get help, we help.
And they got to demonstrate it, though, I'm assuming.
Since COVID, things have changed tremendously. We used to be able to see kids on the streets quite a bit. Now they're hidden. They're so freaked about the pandemic that they have hidden and spread out so that you don't see them that often. But we put posters up everywhere around bathrooms, around restaurants, cheap restaurants, libraries, etc., with all the things that we offer, and they're calling us. And when they call us, that's a whole different thing of us going up to them and say, we want to help you. They're actually calling us for help. That's amazing. A huge deal.
Yeah.
And by the way, my name, our Doors of Change should be .org, not .com. I want to make sure if someone gets touched by this and wants to help homeless kids, get a hold of us at doorsofchange.org.
Yep. Gotcha. I'm with you. So speaking of your organization, on September 9th, you guys, I believe, are having a fundraiser concert. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing with Grammy winner Ben Harper, Jeffrey.
Yeah, music is a big part of what we do. We had a very successful award-winning music in our program for 18 years. We have big concerts. Ben Harper, who's a 3-time Grammy winner, is going to headline our concert on September 9th. Anson is going to be one of the co-MCs. We're so excited.
Awesome.
He's going to co-MC the event. We're going to have between 1,500 and 1,700 people there. It's an outdoor facility at UCSD. It has a beautiful new amphitheater outside called the Epstein Family Amphitheater. So if anybody in Southern California that wants to help homeless kids, 100% of the proceeds we raise goes to fund our program to get kids off the street. And we actually have had to hire more people in the last year, and that's a great problem because we're so busy with helping more kids. So go to doorsofchange.org. You can get tickets there. Tickets are as cheap as $65 for lawn seats. So anybody can afford to go and see it and to support this cause. And we're so excited that Anson is going to be getting his wonderful energy up there and helping us.
Well, I'm honored. Jeff, let me ask you, what you do is so remarkable. The results are so phenomenal. Are you stamping this out to other communities? Are other communities coming in to at least observe and continue what you've created?
Yeah, that's a great question, Anson. We've had national walks for 2 or 3 different years. 10 years ago, we helped Chicago, Philadelphia, Buffalo, New York. But recently, with this new concept that's happened since COVID, we've been so successful. Now we're going to different areas in San Diego now and saying, okay, it's been successful here. Let's now go to East County. And now we just started East County. And then next year, we'll go to South Bay because it's been so successful. We want to help our community first, and then we can, say for free, anybody can learn for free what we've done. You do in your community, we're not going to do it.
It's basically because do you know Fiona Ma?
Sounds familiar.
She's our state treasurer.
Yeah.
She's running for lieutenant governor, and she has a huge heart for this particular situation. I think we should reach out. I think she should come to this event.
Wonderful.
And I think we should get together, and I think put all these elements together, and I think we should create something where we can stamp it out to California, and stamp it out to California, and then from there we can extend.
Yes.
But I really do. What you're doing is remarkable. Hasn't been done before. I haven't seen this kind of success. I've been involved in a lot of things through the years, and you walk the walk, and more than that, you get the results for these kids. And I just think it's very important now we crow a little bit, get it out there, get some powerful folks in there that are going to be emotionally attached, and get this spread out to the whole state.
I would love it in the country, but the thing is that we do 24/7 coverage. If a kid calls at 1 a.m, we've got 3 staff that actually pick up the phone. That's very unusual, and that builds trust. Rob, and what you're asking, you build trust with a kid quickly. Absolutely. When you pick up a phone at 1 a.m. and they're not expecting to get someone. And so that's what we've done. So
a hotline.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous.
Do you have a social media platform as well?
We're on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And Facebook especially.
Do you get a lot of traction from there?
You do the best you can to get the word out.
Yeah.
We just need to sell more tickets because we want to touch people. Anson talked about someone that went from homelessness to become a lawyer. Her name is Justine, and Justine was on the streets from 12 to 15 years old because her mother was an alcoholic and her boyfriend used to beat her up, drag her by her hair, and then started taking her clothes off when she was 12 years old. And she said, I've got to leave. And so she went on the streets for 3 years. She just graduated from law school 2 months ago.
You know,
She's the keynote speaker at the concert.
if you guys could look up it's called CFC Recovery. It's based here in New Jersey. The owners are my clients, but the owner's son, who's also an owner, his wife, who's now like runs the whole thing and an owner, they have about, I want to say 5 different rehab centers. It's non-traditional. It's not typical AA 12-step stuff. But what's interesting is she was homeless and had, I think, she lived in foster homes, and at times was homeless and lived in like 18 different houses and families, and the corruption that was going there. There's a podcast that I did with her, which I could forward to Chris. And if you do have time and if you like it, I could connect you to their nonprofit if it's something that you'd want to talk to them about, because what they've created is powerful. They've affected positively 20,000 families in the last 10 years.
Wonderful.
So Chris, I will send you that interview. Yeah. And if Jeff and Anson like it, I think that I can make that connection very quickly as far as like able to sponsor and tickets and everything else.
We'll get them in touch. Well, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. So first off, for Happy Day star Anson Williams, Jeffrey Sitcov, the founder of Doors of Change, and CYInterview sponsor Rob Gill, I'm Chris Shandick. Gentlemen, thank you all for being on CYInterview today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop the recording.
Appreciate it.
Rob, stay. Yeah, go ahead. Stop the recording. Thank you for watching today's CYInterview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe. Thank you for watching today's CYInterview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button to be updated on all future CYInterview content from Las Vegas and beyond. Thank you for watching today's CYInterview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button to be updated on all future CYInterview content from Las Vegas and beyond. Thank you for watching today's CYInterview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button to be updated on all future CYInterview content from Las Vegas and beyond.